Thank you. I am Andrius Guginis. I am a consultant and lecturer on informal education. I work mostly with football and 21st century competences. We have 40 minutes in which we'll have three participants of the discussion, panelists, and we will speak about what the environment shaping physical literacy could be. Our first guest is Rima Vanage, who is an expert of organizational psychology. She works with internal motivation, emotional literacy, and she will represent the theoretical part of the discussion. So, hello, Rima. Hello, Andrius. And indeed, when you say that I will represent the theoretical part, I'm pressed to say no. Today I want to speak as a mother, as a lecturer, as a psychologist, and I'd like to address the audience based on this position. I have listened to the discussion since the morning, and I listened to the previous speaker, and I am really full of ideas. First of all, I would like to draw the attention to raising awareness and that knowledge is not action. Yes, that is right. But I have been missing one word: experience. What do we need to turn the knowledge into action? It is experience. It's not programs, but I was laughing aloud when there was a discussion about showers. In my school, there were no showers, Miss Rima. You didn't have showers at school, but we have two practitioners. Let's have them joined. It's Egidijus, Nerijus Buivydas, the founder and head of the democratic school, a marathon runner and a parent, and Egidijus Kabosis, who is a teacher of the Waldorf Green School, a photographer, as well as leader of various experiential camps for children. So let us continue from the showers. You said that, yes. Okay, I'm asking you a rhetorical question. Are you disturbed by the lack of showers? Probably not. And I was not hindered by the lack of showers. I rode canoes as a child, but this did not affect my results, namely the lack of showers. It's not showers do not affect the joy of physical activities. Yes, I did not need the shower, but after a marathon, I had to meet school teachers and children. I needed the shower. Not as much myself, but the participants of the meeting, rather. Yes, it's a wonderful topic. We are switching to practical issues directly. But let us take a look as practitioners to physical literacy and the environment promoting physical literacy. Let us take two examples. One example is Egidijus' school, the Green Waldorf School, and the next example is Nerijus' democratic school. How do you promote physical literacy in your environments? Are there any efficient solutions? Have they worked out? Are they still being implemented? Or maybe we're still at the theoretical level. So this is a question to Egidijus and Nerijus. Hello, Egidijus. So, well, I don't know. Physical literacy and moving is very important. but we need a proper environment for that. And when we create environment not for ourselves but for other people, we have to find out directly from them what their wishes are. And then it can be adapted and changed and improved. So children are active, they want to move, they want to play and experience emotions. And as we speak with them, we can use this as a point of departure. I don't say that everything has to be according to the children's rules, but their interests have to serve as the point of departure. And if we try to impose our will and plans to them, it will not work out. We thus build a wall or build a piece of equipment that we think is fun, but the children perhaps don't. And this serves as a block that needs to be overcome even before they start moving. So this is an unnecessary obstacle that didn't have to be there in the first place. So based on the children's interests, we can create our environment and enrich it with our suggestions to encourage them to move and train. Nerijus, I have a question. Do we hear correctly that we have to have a certain agreement strategy, that teachers or the community together with the children have to look for a common agreement despite of the age of the child? Of course. And if we have 3 outdoor breaks, 30 minutes each per day, and children say that there's no fun, it's just one swing, and we need a football pitch, others want a zip line, and so on. And through this dialogue with children, of course, not everything is possible, but through this dialogue with children, we eventually create an environment suitable to all. But for that, we need to plan the schedule and to be consistent. And we must not fake our attention to children. We really need to listen to the children and what they want to tell us. For that, we need to have a platform and a planned time in the schedule so that each pupil has an opportunity to say what he or she wants. Thank you. Egidijus, we've just heard the principle of democratic school of Nerijus. Maybe I am wrong, but what about you? And correct me if I'm wrong, how do you manage to coordinate artistic development with physical education? How physical education is incorporated in your community? Maybe there is a ritual of repeating some action every day. Maybe this forms a part of physical literacy. Yes, I understand the question. In Waldorf education, we don't only focus on arts. We are very versatile, but it's not about that. The Vilnius Waldorf's Green School is located nearby Vilnius. We are surrounded by forests, river, a mountain and fields, and in this environment we experience nature. In our school there is not a single corridor. All classrooms have direct access to the outdoors, and this idea was very useful during the lockdown because our common space is outdoors. We are always outdoors, and we have a ritual whereby school children come to our school on foot. We ask children to drop them off at least 500 meters away. And others who arrive by bus walk 2 kilometers every day. And thus they move and they observe nature and they face the real nature and the reality, which also promotes movement. I am very interested in what Rima has to say. Yes, we'll come back to Rima in a moment. And we are digging really deep because we have two practitioners. And Miss Rima, how do you perceive these two ideas and the concepts of these schools? The concept of active school, or how agreements are made. What is it at all possible to advise on which direction should move on, both the administration and the teachers or coaches? Maybe there is a general approach that could help implement these things in practice, and we cannot hear you.
Tas mikrofonas rodo.
Rima, mute, please. Maybe I wanted to interfere when the colleagues were speaking. Now, I would like to make two pieces of advice. We need to listen to what the children want. This is one of the most important conditions. Not play the ball game square, called in Lithuania, but we have to do what children want. We need to experiment so that children, especially young children, try out as many various movement methods as possible. Some like competing, some like teamwork, some like just throwing ball and so on. That is, the children's opinion is important, and we have to follow their movement areas by observing, and we have to create the things that they would like to have. This is like a child-targeted approach. And what I have heard from Egidijus, the way to do that is not competing. At this conference, I've been hearing things about relay races. Well, this is adrenaline, but when a child comes back after a relay exercise, I ask, what did you do, what you liked? The child is disappointed because they won, they were dishonest, they were unfair. Children are not speaking about the fun of movement, they speak about adrenaline and about the methodologies which stem from competing. Do we need to learn it? Yes, but this is not part of our physical literacy which we are speaking about. That's why what I really lack is following the road. In Latvia we walked 5 kilometers, and this is such huge movement. It's not only walking in the dunes, the sand, or the pine tree, but it's also climbing over various obstacles. I am rather a business consultant, and I work with many organizations, and I can see the following. Okay, the canoeing trip, and out of 60 organization members, we have 6 canoes in the trip. Okay, this is already an achievement, but you know, when the whole organization is going to take the canoe trip, yes, it will happen when the manager actually participates in that trip with his family, and when they post photos of that. And if the director of the school says that this weekend we will be cycling around Vilnius 20 kilometers, and she comes with her son, and then you are trying to convince the children will convince the parents, that is, we travel together, and the journey together starts with the leader. We should not compete, we should travel together. Then you start feeling the fun of movement and dynamics, and in this way you develop physical literacy. So two things, the journey and the leader, the respectable person. At home, it's actually not possible to make children exercise if the mom and the dad do not do the exercise together. Okay, here I actually kind of infer two other concepts: facilitating in the family, in the community, with the children. That is, an individual has to incite that movement and journey. And another one, the ways to do it. We are representatives of various different sports, and we have a specific pattern, and the pattern may be very versatile, but it may be, for instance, like running the marathon to the very end. What personality should a teacher be to encourage the children to engage in one or another physical activity, and at the same time, via the different means of physical activities, to develop physical literacy? So the facilitator himself, how is it important? I have a degree in sports psychology, and later on I had obtained other degrees. So actually, I imagine that the individual willingness to move and enthusiasm is the most important thing. I remember that children like to follow Nerijus and run with him and be beside him because they live in that mood. And when I see it, when the primary school teachers during the physical training schools, having not changed their attire, and during physical training they stand in front of the children with in a skirt. Well, that's absurd. And if we have a very energetic dance teacher who dances, who moves with energy, it's a different thing. And in the educational establishments, when we develop the teachers, we have to start inspiring the joy of movement and organizing as many as possible canoeing trips, cycling trips, and we have to start learning together via the movement. We have to educate the teachers themselves, because I don't believe that it's possible to inspire somebody to move if you are not feeling the same about that yourself. Egidijus, I've heard from you that you have a very reasoned opinion that everything stems from our own selves. You work with children aged 7, 11 and later. Those children already want to move, but sometimes there are days when it's difficult to move for the teacher themselves. What is your relationship to movement? How can you manage the flows and the groups? Nerijus, please. Of course, the reputation of an adult is important, and it's a shaping attitude. And of course, the mother will do the children will do what their mothers do. It's the same with the teachers. The movement culture should be overall. It's very easy for me to inspire children to start jogging because I just come sometimes in my jogging attire or cycling attire, and I maybe bring some story for the children. Somebody sees you somewhere in the festivity and you invite them to participate in that, or you organize the tradition of the school of for instance, Christmas running. And it's not to say only that it's healthy to run. It has to be also fun. It has to be uniting. For instance, you run and then have ice cream or coffee. And then when you start organizing events at school, other teachers get involved. In a couple of years, you feel that it's fun. And then you may start taking out music to the street and invite the police. And then you get motivated yourself when you have that fire in yourself, and the community gets involved, and you would do everything at ease and in good mood and not forcefully. Thank you. Egidijus, what about you? You are so far away. No, it's only 15 kilometers. And when I was listening to Rima, I was jumping and saying aloud, yes, that's true. And what do our listeners feel while listening to us? It's not possible to contribute enthusiastically all the time. Everybody has to do it as they like. It's their own pattern. In kindergartens, children receive a lot of free time to play, and that's good. That's contemporary. And then children, of course, they play with an adult feverishly. And if an adult participates, that's a huge effect. When children become older, it's different. Older children start developing rules or bringing guests, for instance, who are interesting personalities like athletes. And the role of an adult is huge. But the role model doesn't have to be only a super athlete. And the teacher should undertake such a responsibility to think about how we can contribute to that. It is also important to mention that the development of non-competitive environment is important. Because there are always winners and losers. And for Waldorf pedagogues, it's important to have play and the movement all the time till they actually run out of that willingness. We have the games where there are never losers. Everybody wins and loses at the same time. And can you imagine if an educator is somewhere at school, how do they have to learn playing a certain game? They have to practice somewhere among adults, and they have to be able to be a little bit careless, for instance, with their attire. So actually, I think you should make a step and come and visit our games club. Okay, now let's play a game, the three of us. Give a residential district in Vilnius. Paneriai. Okay, we have the Paneriai school. And we may adopt whatever decisions we want. And we should introduce the physical literacy environment at the school in all respects. What would be our decisions? Let's start with changing the environment. 3 decisions, 10 minutes. and then we have to get prepared. Okay, Paneriai school and the environment. If I had this opportunity, what would I change in the environment to make the school physically attractive or encourage me to move rather than stay at the screen? And I would dismantle the fences around the school. Okay, so that is expanding the area. Well, the school is the world. Of course, the Paneriai school has a rich environment around it, and we need to enable teachers to get to know the environment, and the teachers have to have the possibility to cross, to step out of the territory. Well, I would draw a route for the children to go to school and go back to school, back home from school. That would be the morning road and the evening road. And but that would become boring in a couple of weeks. No, it would become a ritual. It has to become a ritual. For instance, you do not get bored of brushing your teeth. Well, I agree that all those trips and journeys are important, but I think there should be no gap between the children's and adults' needs. I would ask the children. We have the problem, for instance, and we know that sport lengthens life and improves results. And how can we move better physically? I would start with the problem. Let's see what we have at school, what we have outside. Maybe we have a few square meters, and we may exercise a lot in those square meters. This is what I would speak about. Okay, but again, we are now concentrating ourselves to the environment and to children. But in order to implement that, we need to go back to our internal world. Well, let us think about how we can incentivize the teachers themselves to think at the level that I could give more to them. Well, maybe we should create the teachers club or teachers healthy lifestyle, health promotion club, because if the teachers are inspired, that inspiration will move on to children. And regarding the teachers getting united and moving more. Okay, mission to help. This is like the business of the teacher to help, but I would say no way. We have to be an example that inspires, and you have to be yourself, and you will inspire everybody with your own example. If a teacher is moving and he would say to his school children, I actually came to work on foot. Who of you did that? I believe that children would follow them. And we don't need to help children, we need to help ourselves. Okay, fantastic. I have a question. We have not touched upon this question, but the question is, how important is it to develop the small motorics and logarithms of the children who have special needs? Well, we need to develop that all the time and start doing that now. Do you think that it's not possible to select, to distinguish those children who have come to us from their computer screens and have started playing games? Every teacher would instantaneously be able to distinguish children who play games. I think we should start doing that immediately, irrespectively of any needs, special or not special. And to wind up, we have the question from Armanas. Egidijus started speaking about the impact of screens on physical literacy and activity. Are there any practical ways, maybe in the democratic schools, maybe in the green school, to remove children from the screens and find a replacement for those screens? This is a painful topic, and so far we have had a certain barrier of screens. Well, I would like to give an example and then I will hand over to you. In our family, the screen has helped to start exercising. We do exercises in Zoom, and we started learning dancing, and we moved together. And there are so many nice programs that help you move. This is like jogging or marathons across London or various trips and journeys. So my suggestion is not to get away from the screens, but to find in the screens what might be useful for them. We cannot avoid the things that are unavoidable, but we have to find something useful in that. Well, we are the supporters of the hybrid side. Together with Egidijus, in our schools, we have a philosophy that the children cannot use phones while at school. And when the children bring screens, well, we have the screen time at schools, 30 minutes per month. Then they can show what games they play. They cannot show any violence games and so on. But this time is pre-agreed with the children, and there's no possibility to use any screens, phones or tablets at any other time. And of course, the other side of that means that we have tablets at school and we distribute them for education. I do agree with Nerijus. We should at least start with huge help for all schools, and that children should not be allowed to use screens during school time. Of course, I'm referring to the pre-COVID period, and you see primary school children speaking at the screens while they should be at that time moving around. They are in front of screens, and now, of course, during the pandemic, we receive a lot of that involuntarily, but we will go back to normal. Thank you very much for an intensive discussion of 40 minutes. And I will ask you to disconnect from the screens, that is to remove yourselves from screens, and I will give back the word to Simona, to the studio, and Simona will continue the Olympic Education Forum.